for most of us, and that is it's time for a holiday.
But that's not quite what Alex Carr thinks about when he sees one, and we can join him now from his home in Southend to find out why. Good morning, Alex. Thank you very much for joining us today. So that house where we see you in, this beautiful idyllic garden behind you.
Good morning, Holly.
Good morning. You've lived there for 27 years. Why buy somewhere so close to the airport?
Yeah, that's right. Because the airport that we moved next to in 1992 had cargo, light aircraft and maintenance, and it wasn't the airport that's now been redeveloped and has ambitious plans to have 5 million passengers by 2022.
Well, the shot that we just took then was a live shot of the 10:55 Ryanair flight from Southend to Palma, Mallorca, and so. The issue is, I suppose, of course, is that all of London's airports are congested and increasing passenger numbers, so with Gatwick and Heathrow and Stansted and Luton. Wasn't it inevitable that an airport with a runway that's long enough to take big jets was going to get busier? There was going to be an expansion of that airfield?
It wasn't that inevitable in our view. Philip, because when we bought here, as I say, it was a has-been. The heyday of Southend Airport was back in the 60s and early 70s, and the air traffic that took care of the passengers in those days had left and really been taken over by the likes of Stansted and Luton. So it was a very quiet municipal airport that never had the space to be able to expand to what it's become now.
So actually, the problem is, it's not so much the aeroplanes when they're taking off, it's the taxiing, isn't it? Because as they've revamped Southend, it's the Charlie taxiway that is open that runs right past the bottom of your garden. And with this brings the noise, the fumes, the pollution, all which is affecting your life.
We can see how close your house is there on the graphic that we've actually got on the telly. We're showing that right now. What impact does it have on you?
Yeah. Well, it's the health issues that we're very worried about, because now they've reopened Charlie Taxiway, and instead of taxiing up and down the runway, the use of sorry, I'm getting some interference on here. But the use of the Charlie taxiway means that aircraft are increasing in their numbers. Ryanair have just started to fly from Southend Airport from this month, so it's only going to be busier, and which would mean that more and more aircraft are going to be waiting for other aircraft to land, and that means that they're going to be yards away from the back of our fence.
And so you say that you have to, when you go inside, you've got to close the windows. You can smell the fuel from outside in your garden.
Oh yeah, and sometimes you can taste it. So yeah, it's making it horrendous now. So once was municipal airport with planes taking off and landing on the runway, which I've got no problem with, is now causing us a problem because of the stacking literally yards from the back of the fence. So our objective really is to ask and plead with the airport to move the taxiway to the north side of the runway where there's no residential houses, and that will lessen the effect, in fact, probably eliminate it. And it's just trying to get the powers that be to listen, to our pleads and acknowledge, the position that they've put us in.
And do you worry about what this has done to the value of your home?
I think that's secondary, Holly. Obviously, it's going to limit the type of people that would want to buy a property like this. It's going to be probably only to people that are plane spotters or people that have got no sense of smell or are deaf. But the airport don't really care about that, as long as they get the aeroplanes up and into the air as quickly as possible, and they get more seats, more bums on seats. Then that's really all they're worried about.
They say that they're continuing to monitor air quality, which remains considerably below government limits.
Well, that's what they say. I'm no expert with regards to those limits, but if you can taste and you can smell those type of fumes, which I've read reports that say are 60 to 70 times more pollution coming out of aircraft than there is in a busy London street, and we know from just the weekend with regards to Extinction Revolution or Rebellion, the type of highlights that those people are making to the pollution that we're having to breathe in, that cannot be good. It can't be good for children's lungs. You know, basically, would they want it on their doorstep? No, they wouldn't.
We've got a flight radar app at the moment. You can see there's a plane pretty much over the top of you about to come in to land. Now there is no doubt that listening to the owners of the airport, they do have grand plans for it. There is an opportunity here for them to expand. How do you feel about that?
Well, again, I think that, quite frankly, it's not a suitable place to expand any further than they have done. It was a municipal airport. It wasn't suitable for expansion, and that's why Stansted and Luton, you know, in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, really took over that business from Southend's, you know, 600,000 passengers in 1966. And really, there were no plans and no transparency that Southend was ever going to be a major airport again. In fact, they've built to the south, to the southeast of Southend Airport. There's been major developments around here. They're blocked by one end by the A127, by the other end, by the east end, by the Liverpool Street main line. So they're very confined, and it's a bit like looking at Hyde Park and thinking, well, that's a nice green part of land. Let's build an airport there. No houses would be built around here now if the airport existed in its current state.
Well, let's hope that.
So this is purely and simply, an evolution.
Yeah.